Yo, what is going on YouTube? This is your boy Kamen Rider Zero Spike back again once again. And today we're here for Kamen Rider Revice episode 22. Now this episode seemed like it was going to be like really silly, but at the same time it had a good balance of silly and also a good balance of seriousness. And there's so much like other things going on, like there's so many different plot points and new other like little other arcs that we're creating in this episode, especially with the two new forms debuted in this episode. And we technically have Revice's evil form, or form he can't control. We technically got that form in this episode, but I don't know. And also we seen like at the end of the episode we see Vice started to act more and more like a demon, especially with some of the stuff that they actually went through in this episode. But we're gonna start off with basically, real quick, we're gonna go with the other dead men, Aguilera and Tamaki, aka Julio. We see them, and we see Aguilera thinking about everything that's going on, and also she thought about the fight she had with Sakura and stuff like that, and she basically just chooses to get rid of Tamaki / Julio, and she basically says like, oh, you're fired. How are you supposed to protect me if you can't fight anymore? So she basically has now confirmed that Tamaki is not a demon anymore. He no longer has his demon powers. He's no longer a demon. So she basically says, I don't need you. She gets rid of him, and we see Tamaki sitting there holding the ice cream, and he cries, and he leaves to go find Sakura. And also we see that George gives Iki a new Vice stamp. Is basically the Neobata Vice stamp, but basically it's basically the 01 form, which looks dope. I loved it. It was great. It was pretty good representation of 01, especially with like the speed and the kicks and the ultimate attacks and stuff like that. We see that Vice is the one that more looks like 01, has 01's color scheme, but Iki looks like he still has his regular color scheme, but he looks more like he starts kind of looking like 01. So in this, they basically get called by this comedy, that's like this comedy group, and basically they have to enter like this competition. They basically find out from other two people that there was a threat given to their main, like they were managers of the two comedians that they were managers of, and they got sent a threat. They got sent some kind of threat, and they want Iki and Vice to basically be their bodyguards while they figure out who the person that sent them the threat was. And a couple other culprits are other comedy like duos, right? So we see Iki and Vice kind of investigating this place and actually entering the whole competition little thing, and we see that they actually meet. Well, they're eavesdropping technically on two other comedy duos, and they're talking about like how the main comedy duo that they're with, stuff like that, they're always super busy for some reason, and they're always late to everything. So it's kind of messing up, some of their gigs and stuff like that. And these two comedy groups are basically taking the chance to try and get their own, basically take their place and try to get their own little comedy stuff out there so they can get their big break and stuff. So while Iki and Vice are investigating that, we see that they get attacked by two regular demons. They get attacked by two of them. One of them was like a hammerhead demon, and I don't know what the other one was. It was just big and blue, and it kind of looked like the mammoth. It kind of looked like the mammoth demon, but it was blue, and it had like little small wings. But they end up fighting both of these things, and while they're fighting them, that's when while they're fighting them, we see Daiji. He comes in. He says, "Hey, you guys are good." He said, "All right." He said, "Yeah, we're good. Just get those people back to safety." So they're fighting them, and they also end up fighting. They end up leading them up to the roof area, and that's when we see them use the Megalodon stamp, which was cool, and we see them use the Kong stamp, which was cool. And that's when Vice gets the idea of, hey, use the new stamp that George gave us. So George ends up, oh man, not George, but they end up using the Neobata Vice stamp, and this is where the 01, you know, references and stuff come in with the kicks and the speed, and the like the how 01's finishing attacks were when all the letters splash on the screen. They did that. So they end up basically taking these things out, and then they leave and then go and try to figure out where the other, because there was one duo there and they were looking at them, and they asked the other duo, hey, where are they? And they left. Turns out they had already, you know, left. And then when they were getting ready to leave the rooftop, that duo comes up to them and you know, says that, hey, where's the demons and stuff that you guys were using? And it was like, we didn't do anything, we just came up here to brainstorm and stuff for our next act. And then they leave and they go down there, and the other duo, they're gone, they already left. So those two guys, you know, starting a little suspicious around here. So while that's happening, we see that Tamaki, he talks to Sakura, and he's sitting there crying. Sakura's over there with her friends and stuff like that, and she's still thinking about the whole thing about the weekend. She's still thinking about that group. And what happens is we see Tamaki goes up to her, he's crying, he's holding like the ice, he's still holding the ice cream, and he's like, he's like, Aguilera threw me to the trash. So what happens is she leaves and takes Tamaki home with her. So while that's happening, we see Iki and Vice, they're sitting at home and stuff like that, talking about how those duos and stuff were. And they also have like very good synergy in this episode, as they always do. And they're talking about basically how good of a duo they are, and talking about like, hey, our best days are to come and stuff like that, you know, just kind of like friend bonding kind of thing. And that's when Sakura comes in, actually that's when a Phoenix soldier comes in and says, hey, this is good. Also throughout the episode, we see Vice having the headaches again. So he has a headache during the first fight, before they use, the first half of the fight, before they use the 01 stamp, and after they end up using the 01 stamp. So that happens, and they ended up using and getting this new stamp. It was a roller, and it was big, it's black and stuff like that. It's big, it has like paint, it's like a paint roller basically, and with a handle on it. And you can also like use it as a brass knuckle. Like you can also use this stamp as a weapon. So this Phoenix member comes and gives them that, and he basically tells them that George made this. Keep this in mind. We'll come back to this later, but he says that George made this to be able to stabilize Vice's condition whenever he has the headaches and stuff like that. So this is actually going to help him with those headaches. And he's like, okay, cool. And that's when Sakura comes in, and then she brings in Takumi. And that's when, you know, Takumi is actually going to stay there at the bathhouse basically until he basically finds his own place to stay. And, you know, the family kind of like saying, oh, you look familiar, you know, stuff like that. He's saying, you look familiar, stuff like that. And, you know, Sakura kind of plays it off like, nah, maybe he just, you know, maybe you confusing with the wrong person, stuff like that, because, you know, he was there when the whole Kagero thing happened and stuff like that. Speaking of Kagero, we see that Daiji actually talks to Kagero in this episode. He talks to Kagero, and, you know, he's talking about Hiromi and stuff like that. And that's when Kagero's like, hey, man, we should switch out. Come on, let me out of here. We should switch out. We wanted the same, you know, let's go, cuz. And like, you know, Daiji's like, shut up. I don't like you. And he tells him to get lost, and he leaves. And Kagero just standing there laughing like, man, Kagero is a sadistic motherfucker. Is a sadistic dude. I guess because, you know, he's a demon, so it makes sense. But you also see that we also see Daiji trying to get other people to safety. And while Daiji's trying to get other people to safety, we see that we see that other people are trying to, we see that Daiji's trying to get everybody to say other people to safety, while we see our main two boys, Iki and Vice, are still fighting these other two demons again. And while he's fighting them, you see Vice has the idea to use the new stamp that we use, because he's having those headaches again. So he ends up using it, and he ends up taking one. He ends up holding it by the handle, and he ends up punching one of the demons with it. And then he gets ready to henshin with it, and it has like this black ink type of thing, like some symbiote kind of black liquid thing going on with it. And when he uses that, he ends up henshining, and for some reason it seems like Iki gets swallowed up. He gets swallowed up by this black ooze. And when he gets swallowed up, they transform into this brand new form. Looks really cool, by the way. This form looks absolutely freaking dope. But it seems like, yeah, this is going to be the form. This is going to be it. We see that Vice is alone in this form. They're one singular person, and it's just Vice for some reason. It's just Vice, and he's extremely powerful. And we see these two demons try to attack him, and they go flying, and he completely decimates these other two demons. And Daiji is watching this kind of like in horror, because seeing how powerful this is, and he feels like something is not right with this. And we see Vice end up destroying these guys, and he's laughing and stuff like that. He feels all this power, and it seems like he has swallowed up Iki. And when he de-henshins and stuff like that, we see that it's just Vice. It's just Vice there, and we have Vice kind of laughing maniacally there. We see that demon. We see that demon side of him coming out, because a lot of the time because for a while now we see that Vice really doesn't act like a demon. Like, he has to laugh but everything, but we also see we see that Vice is very silly. He's not like Kagero. He's not like Love-kun. Well, Love-kun isn't like either one of them. Love-kun just seems like a child. So it's not like a little baby, the little wandering child. But he's kind of like, it felt like he was kind of acting like Kagero. And we see how he laughed, and our episode ends off right there. We're not knowing anything. But as soon as he henshined into this form, we see that George didn't know nothing about this. George didn't know that Iki was given that. So someone else has basically gave him that stamp, and we don't know who. We don't get no inkling of who did it, but he gets that stamp, and George is like pissed. George is pissed, just like how when Sakura got her stamp, and George is pissed. He's like, whoever gave him that stamp is you're gonna feel my wrath. But yeah, I was like, yo, so if George didn't know, who gave him this stamp? What do you guys think? Who there gave him this stamp? Do you think it was the new vice president guy, or any like that old dude, anything like that? Like, what happened? But also, after that, earlier we saw that Aguilera, after she basically fired Tamaki, she ends up going and finding Oteka, and she talks to Oteka and says, hey, want to team? She said, hey, Oteka, want to team up? And from the last preview, I thought that maybe Oteka went to her, but she went to Oteka. So she says that, hey, we want to team up. He was like, why? He's like, why would you want to team up with me? I backstabbed you. And she was like, well, yeah. He said, you want to take over the world, and I want to get Gifu's step back. So I guess our stuff is I guess our priorities are things that we want to do are aligned together. And I guess that's when, she's with Oteka again. I don't know for how long. She can't trust Oteka. We already know that. But also Oteka also cannot trust her. So it's just a mutual thing going on right now, where it's like, hey, ain't no trust in this. It's just this is a truce thing so we both can get what we want. So, but yeah, our episode kind of ended off right there. I'm scared, because the next episode seemed like basically Iki and Vice have switched places completely. Now Iki is in the place of Vice, and Vice is in the place of Iki. Now Iki is the one that's like like the ghost that comes out and talks to him and stuff like that. And it seems like Vice is just gonna be like enjoying his little time, like being basically free, without having to have Iki use the stamp to essay help him come out and stuff like that. Like, it seems like Vice is free, and we're also going to be able to conclude this little two-part series, this little two-part episode of the whole comedy thing. But with that being said, though, guys, you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this episode. What you guys think about this new form? What you guys think about the 0-1 form? You think we're probably gonna see it again? Because I love how they're still keeping all the the lower tier forms, all the rider forms, all those forms. I love how they're keeping those forms, still keeping them relevant and still keeping them around, because usually in Rider, whenever we get like the big power up and stuff like that, we really don't see like the lower tier forms anymore. And we've seen that with Revice, they're still doing that. They're keeping the older forms more relevant and awesome, and I love that. Getting to see all these Rider forms and stuff like that, I'm awesome. Got to see Decade and Decade and Forze. Decade and Forze and 0-1 basically in this episode, which was dope. But you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What do you think of a new form? Do you think Vice is starting to slowly become demon or evil now? Stuff like that. Who do you think gave Iki this new Vice stamp? Because George does not freaking know. And also, what do you guys think Oteka and Aguilera are gonna be, planning and stuff like that? And also, how do you think Tamaki's gonna feel about this now that he can't really do anything anymore because he's not a demon anymore? So hey, maybe he can get a new Vice stamp, become a demon again, and probably work his way up back to where he was. Maybe, I don't know. But you guys let me know all that down in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next time. And remember, stay henshined.